Hi, everybody, and welcome to our last and final day of the Boom Boom Back to School Symposium. This is the second year we've had it, and it's been wonderful having all of our amazing educators present on how they use Boom cards with their students. I personally have learned a lot, and today is no exception. We have some amazing teachers here who will teach you how to use Boom for music. I'm just going to include the full symposium schedule in the chat box below. You still have time to register for the last couple of sessions, and I highly recommend you do that. Don't miss a thing. Couple of housekeeping details. This is being recorded. We will share the link to the recording with you, and it will also be posted on our YouTube channel, and you'll have a link to that as well. There's a chat box below, as you may have already found. Tell us, where you're joining from. Tell us if you do teach music, to what grade levels or how you teach music. We'd love to know. And there's also a Q&A box below. If you have any questions, please post them there so we can find them and answer them. They get kind of muddled and lost in the chat box, so we definitely want to address all of your questions. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our first speaker. Terry, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Terry Lloyd, and I am from fraumusic.com, and I am going to be talking today about ways to use Boom cards with a large class setting. So let's get right to it. This is adapted from a blog post, and that information will be available to you afterwards too. First, let's talk just a little bit about why you might want to use music Boom cards in a large group setting. Many music teachers don't have access to one-to-one devices, or you might want to use music Boom cards for a quick observational assessment. We all teach students of wide varying abilities, and some of those students are unable to do these tasks independently and may need some more support through a partner or through centers, something like that. Or you may just want to build a sense of community with all of your students working together. So the first set that I'm going to be demonstrating is this rhythm dictation set, and we're going to use a question all right technique. Before I go into that, I just want to talk about how you would display them on your whiteboard, and then students would write the answers, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's important to repeat each example 3 times. The first time students hear a rhythm pattern, they should listen and write what they've heard. The second time, they should listen again and then point and check their answers, revising if necessary. And the third and final time, students would have one more final check to point and make sure that their answer really does match. So let's take a quick look at these rhythm dictation Boom cards. And the first thing, when you hear them, the metronome will play 4 clicks to set the tempo, and then you're going to hear a rhythm pattern. So let's listen. And so then students will simply drag up, and watch out, because when there's a rest in the pattern, they often just leave it out, and they'll construct the pattern. Once again, as I said in my introduction, you'll listen again as students point to each pattern, making sure it's correct, and then one final check. When they're ready to submit their answer, they click and it's checked. But I think the real magic of Boom cards is when students make mistakes, is being able to correct those mistakes. So let's make a mistake and see what happens.
Terry, I think you're sharing the wrong screen. I see your presentation.
Oh, okay, let's get back here and reshare. When I switched, it didn't follow. So we'll reshare. I wonder why that happened. Can you see the Boom cards now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for stopping me. And So let's listen again. This is our second one. And so we're going to make a mistake here. And since I didn't hear it very good, I'm probably going to make a lot of mistakes here. So let's see what happens when we make a mistake.
Whoops.
I didn't get any of those right. So let's listen again. So let's make a mistake here. We'll do this. Whoops. And when you click the answer, it takes out the ones that you got incorrect. So students would listen again. And construct the correct answer. And that, I think, is that immediate feedback and allowing students to correct their answers is invaluable. So now we have it correct. Now I'm going to go back to my presentation and talk about how we would write that. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, and now let's talk about using that all right technique with students. Option 1 is by using a printable template. This template will be included in your notes that you get afterwards, but you can laminate this, and some teachers have cut them into strips and then used dry erase markers to simply write that pattern. Or you could use it for an assessment, and students use pencil and paper to write the answers. Option 2 is my favorite, and that is using stick dictation with manipulatives. You can use popsicle sticks, pipe cleaners, or pretzels to construct your answer. And option 3 is by using printable manipulatives. You can use these, and again, you'll get a free set of these in your links afterwards. But if students color all of the quarter notes the same color, all the eighth notes, etc., it makes it really easy for teachers to just scan the room and see which students are struggling. Or you can print a classroom set on cardstock, laminate them, and cut them out, store them in zippered bags to create individual student sets. And students can use those to construct their answers. And next, I'm going to take a quick look at melodic dictation. And our melodic dictation is available in the keys of F, in G, and C. I always start in the key of F because that means all the notes are on the staff and it's easiest for our beginners. It works very much the same way. So let me switch over to the boom cards. And 2, can you see this?
I can see your boom card.
Okay, and once again, we listen to the pattern and simply drag and construct what you hear. It works exactly the same way as the rhythmic sets. You should do it again 3 times, check your answers, and then submit them. And so let's go back to our presentation and talk about how you would write that with manipulatives. The first way is simply by using a music staff, and we do have this free one on our website. And you can construct the melody by using pennies or bingo chips. You know, it's a real drag for kids when they make a mistake and have to get their eraser out and erase, but writing with manipulatives is simple to fix their answers. So that's option 1. And option 2 is taking the same staff and laminating it, print on cardstock so that it's nice and firm. And students can use write and wipe erasers or dry erase markers to write their answers. And the last technique that I'd like to share today is by answering in sign language. And this is really easy to do because, of course, the music alphabet is the first 7 letters of the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And on the back of my piano, I always had a chart, a poster with all of the letters that students can refer to. So we'll take a peek back at these boom cards, and these work simply by students naming. They drag and drop, or they shoot the ball. So that's a C, so we're gonna shoot it into the goal. It pops up in the corner and you check it. And let's see what if you get it wrong, what happens? Whoops. The goalie blocks the score and it's knocked out. So it's incorrect. So there's just a couple things I want to talk about when we are using sign language or signals. And the first thing is students should hide their answer hands. And this is important because there are always going to be students that are faster than others, and we want to give everyone a chance. So have students hide their answer hand under their shirt or somewhere where no one can see it. This gives students plenty of think time, and then say, show your answer all at the same time. And that gives everybody a level playing field to start with. Boom cards really are a game changer in the music classroom. They're economical. A lot of teachers don't know that you can purchase one set of boom cards and then assign those to all of your students who are working on that one element of music. They're versatile. You can use them as one-to-one activities, as centers or stations. You can use them as whole class activities. You can practice at home. Teachers can share the links through their school's LMS or on another private platform so students can practice independently. And that immediate feedback when students make a mistake, that is just invaluable. Boom cards are challenging, but they're attainable. They're motivating. Students want to improve their scores. And it makes it really easy to differentiate because you can start students where they are. They can be successful. If they need to repeat decks, they can do that, and they can advance when they're ready, and students who are taking private lessons or are excelling are allowed to soar. And of course, you can get started with a free account. And that's all of mine. I don't know if anyone has any questions or anything about that, but you can take a peek also at my website for a little bit more in depth about using boom cards with whole group classes.
Thank you so much, Terry. And Terry's shared some amazing resources here with you, naming that awesome template that she's going to give out for free. We're going to include all that in a follow-up email. It's going to be in an FAQ. So click on the FAQ, look for the music section, and you'll see all the links where you can contact her. That was amazing. I loved how you showed the value of the instant feedback. I think that's extremely important, especially when you're learning something like music theory. I personally have looked at your stores, and I'm trying to teach myself how to play piano, which is a life goal of mine. And I'm realizing while they're phenomenal, I would really appreciate a teacher sitting next to me and kind of guiding me through the way. So I think I'm looking really forward to Kelly's presentation, who's coming up next, because that's precisely what she does. Take it away, Kelly.
Thank you. I am really excited to be here and share with you. I am primarily sharing with you today how to use boom cards in private one-on-one piano lessons. So I've been teaching piano for about 14 years, and I've been using boom cards in my piano lessons for about 18 months to 2 years as well. So I'm going to talk about how to level up the fun and learning in your piano lessons with boom cards for preschool piano, late elementary piano, and late intermediate / early advanced piano. So I personally love teaching preschool piano. And when I teach preschool piano, I teach it as a 30-minute lesson. And the trick with preschool piano, if you teach it, is to change activities every 3 to 5 minutes. So boom cards are very ideal for teaching preschool piano because they add another activity to our tool bag. Most lessons for preschool are play-based or game-based. They're very hands-on. Boom cards are perfect because we can play them at the piano or we can play them away from the piano. So in the case of this little guy in the picture here, he's having a piano lesson where he's learning about groups of 3 black keys versus groups of 2 black keys on the piano. And we're learning all about the piano pattern here. And so the next quick video that I'm going to show you is of a student completing a deck of boom cards. And he is going to be dragging groups of 3 black piano keys to a number 3 and groups of 2 black keys to a number 2. And that just goes really, really well with the piano lesson that looks like this. In the case of using it away from the piano, it's often wonderful to be able to take the student away from the piano to change activities, kind of change gears. So here's a video of my little guy playing.
Oh, you're so good at that. Oop, is that a 3? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are you tricking me? Where's this one go? Yes, good job. There we go. Oh, you're just being silly. Look at your face. You're teasing me. Where did those go? Good job. Oh, you're being silly.
What?
Oh, that means you got some right, but we didn't get all of them. So we got to figure out where the rest of them go because all of them need to go in a 2 or a 3 box. Good job.
So in that case, and especially with preschool, you can quickly gauge how well the student is understanding in the concept. In the case of the little guy who just played, he's teasing me a little bit. He's getting some wrong answers on purpose and enjoying it in the process. So that kind of shows you that with this boom deck, you've got to get all the groups of 2 to the correct box and all the groups of 3 to the correct box. But I love this one specifically for preschool because they're learning that one-to-one correspondence. They're learning about the piano key pattern. They are learning sorting, so many different things that prepare them well for kindergarten as well with this deck of boom cards. And then finally for preschool, they can be assigned for a quick at-home practice. So in the case of this little guy in the picture, he's got older siblings that are in piano lessons already, and they're bringing home their piano practice and all of their assignments. And I tend to not assign big assignments for my little 3 to 5-year-olds, but boom cards are very tangible. They can work on them at home. They can feel like big brother, big sister, and do their own work at home too. They've played them through in practice in their lesson, at their piano practice. And so at home, they already know what to do. And the time that mom and dad really need to spend with them is minimal. They can just help them log in and go from there. So late elementary boom cards, again, ideal for late elementary. There are so many boom cards available. I have a lot in my store that I've made, but so many teachers are creating boom cards, and this late elementary level just has a bunch of opportunities for boom cards. For those that aren't familiar, late elementary piano generally covers like a level 1 or a level 2 method book. Many of them can be played right at the piano, which I think is fantastic. And with this late elementary, students are getting excited. They are starting to take keep track of their own progress in the app. So they can see in the app when they're playing how fast they're able to do the boom cards, if they're progressing, what they're really able to learn. They can change their avatar based on how they're leveling up. So they do start to take ownership of it and they get really excited about it. So the next little clip of a video I'm going to show you is of a student playing boom cards, and he's learning how to play both hands at the same time. So he's learning that there's a note in my bass clef, there's a note in my treble clef, and I'm going to play those at the same time. So this deck of boom cards is what is asking, are these the same note? Are you playing the same letter name of note? And so that's what you're going to see here.
is an F. This is
Good. I know I switched up with the yes or no is on top or bottom, so.
This is E and this is E, so yes.
Good.
This is yep.
Getting faster.
This and no. No.
Good.
So this deck we played at the end of a lesson as I'm writing out his assignment. That's the other thing. If you write out your assignments for your students to take home, you can have them play boom cards while you're writing out their assignment. But I'm going to show you the next picture. They can be played right at the piano. So you can set that tablet right up at the piano. For this one, as I said, with students beginning to play both hands together, the great thing about playing them at the piano is they can sit down, get their hands set. This particular deck is a C position deck, so they can play these two notes on the piano. And even if they are not able to identify quite yet, oh, those are both G's, their ears can help them. So it's not only visually, it's orally, they can tell, oh yeah. So it's wonderful to have them play the notes on the piano before answering the card. And that's just another way they can practice at home, or they can practice in the lesson. They don't necessarily have to have access to a piano to practice, but they can, and it's beneficial if they do. Lastly, boom cards are ideal for that late intermediate, early advanced level of piano student. Again, just with the other levels, they can practice when a piano is not available. So I have teenagers in my house who seem to somehow never have something to do during study hall. They can pull out boom cards during study hall if they don't have something to do, if they need to practice at school. The other thing is that for this age level, you know, they're quite often older students. They don't typically have the cute robots and the cute sports or the other objects. They kind of are clip art free and just go with basic music theory concepts. So they're great practice activities for more complex music theory concepts. In my case, I've had students in the past that don't love the workbooks, like pictured. I love music theory workbooks, but not all students thrive doing worksheets and workbooks. So boom cards gives them another opportunity to review in a different way. And again, they can play these right at the piano. So in the case of this student here, he's got a D major scale laid out on his piano keys that he's identified. And the next playthrough that I'm going to show you is of a deck that you could utilize with your major scales. So it's whole steps and half steps on the piano keys that go with a major scale pattern. So there's no audio in this video. I'm just going to kind of talk you through it. But students here are seeing the check marks marking out the keys that go with the scale. And then the arrows are showing them where the whole and half steps are, kind of as a guide. And they are filling in that whole step and half step major scale pattern there. And as music teachers, we know that the major scale pattern is the same across the board. But this deck gives them the opportunity to see it laid out in every major key. This deck, for example, is flat keys. And then we get to cards that they have to complete the entire pattern. So drag all the whole steps and half steps, and that repetition helps them to get better at it as they're working through it. Again, when I use this deck with students, I prefer they play out the scale on the piano before they complete the card. That's just me, to get all the learning in as possible. And then the other card here that you see, we've taken out the arrows. So those little helps are removed and they can access, drag all the whole steps and half steps there as well. So last, just as Terry said, piano teachers can easily get started for free, especially if you're brand new and you've never tried boom cards before. You can get started for free. I actually have a YouTube video that you'll get after the replay, with the replay as well, that just walks you through setting up a free account, downloading some boom cards to try, and then playing like in 10 minutes. So that's going to come to you as well afterward. Boom also offers membership levels that really benefit piano teachers. They're very easy to assign to individual students as well. And with the classroom feature, we as piano teachers can use that a little bit differently. So when I assign classrooms, I'll take all my students in a particular like beginner method book. If I have 5 or 6 students in that method book, I'll put them all in the same class, and then I can assign to whoever's in this method book, and then level 1 and so on. So they're very easy to assign as well, and Boom makes it really easy to get started. And that is all that I have for today as well. I hope everybody has a great back to school season.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I love that Boom card on whole notes and half notes. I never really thought about, the up and down like connection to it. If I can suggest one thing, I love your Boom cards, and I would almost love it when you're helping to identify notes, if you could add audio to that and then actually play the note on the piano. I think I am a visual and an audio kind of learner. And especially, like I said, I have had difficulty teaching myself how to play the piano. That would help tremendously.
Yeah.
But I love your Boom cards.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. And also, you did mention that you can get started for free. Thank you, Terry and Kelly, for mentioning that. You can just go to our website, www.boomlearning.com, and you can join for free and test us out if you haven't already. But some of the really cool reporting features are going to, it's going to require a paid subscription. And Joanna is going to show you some of those very, very cool reporting features and how she uses it with her students. Take it away, Joanna.
Hello, everyone. Coming from Bristol, England, but I'm an American. I've been living here in the UK for the last 14 years and born and raised in West Virginia. Yay, West Virginia. And so I moved here 14 years ago. Never heard of anything called the Associated Board of Royal Schools of Music, ABRSM. So for those who are familiar with that, just so you know, I am a local rep now for music theory here in Bristol. I run the music theory exams, so I'm very keen on getting my students at the piano to learn how to do music theory better, because we all know if they understand the theory, they're going to be able to be much better performers. So I just was introduced 2 years ago to Boom, started buying a whole bunch of Kelly's decks to begin with, and then I learned how to make them myself, because I know that there's a lot of things with ABRSM that there isn't a whole lot of online resources for unless you go and do worksheets or workbooks. So little by little, I'm starting to build my decks to conform to the ABRSM standards. So I use a lot of Kelly's decks with my own private students, and I only teach online. I used to be in person, but COVID kind of killed that. So I just remain to be online 100%. So it really helps to be able to have digital resources that I can share with my students. So let's see if I can share my screen here. And I will show you what I do with my students. So here I have a classroom that, well, I'll tell you a little bit about classrooms first. So I use the Alfred basic music piano lessons. So the names of my classrooms are actually the names of the book levels. And I've got students in each classroom because that's what book they're in. Now, what I have learned from experience is I don't assign whole classroom decks, because I have found that when students are even assigned particular decks, they will go and play with every deck except the ones they're assigned. So I took them out of the classroom, and instead what I've done is I've assigned individual decks, exactly what they need to be practicing from their lesson notes. So I'm going to show you what Twiggy has been doing, and these are, dummy names, but these are real students. So I'm going to show you first what Twiggy has done. I'm going to click on reports. Okay. And these are the decks, the 2 decks that Twiggy has been assigned this week. She just got into doing G position. So it was a big shift for Twiggy to understand the difference between C position and G position. So I created these decks that include intervals because she knows second, third, fourth, and fifth. So I'm going to show you what she's been doing recently in this right hand G position with intervals. And we can see how over time, you can see the date here. The first time she was assigned this deck was the 23rd of July. And then on the 26th of July, she practiced it again. And on the 30th, the 31st, and today, as of this morning, she did. I'm going to show you a little bit about what happens with these decks. Here you can see just this one deck, the progress that she's made. But what does all that mean? I'm going to click on this first one here, and I'm just going to scroll down so you can watch at these gray dots, gray and dark gray and black dots, okay? So this particular deck has 40 cards in it, but it's randomized at 20 different cards, all right? So you can see when she first played this deck, she didn't do so hot. She got 60%. And it took some of them almost a minute, if not even more, to get each card. There's a lot of information on the cards. I'll show you a card in just a moment. So she did. The second time she did it, look at the difference there. Now, there was one rogue that it took her 3 minutes to finish. She probably just had one of those moments where she couldn't quite figure it out and she left it or whatever. So then I'm going to click on the next one on the 30th of July. She played the same deck. Look how much lower those gray dots are. I'm going to click on the 31st. Watch the difference. Take a look at these numbers here on the side. Now most of them around, I'd say about 20 seconds each. There's one rogue one there, but I'm not going to worry about that. And look, she got 100%. All these check marks mean she got 100% on that deck. And then look, even less. Oh my goodness, one rogue one, she probably went and had a snack, and then she came back to finish the deck. So there we are. You can see. Now I'm going to click on just one of the cards. Let's go back to this deck here that she did make a mistake on. So this one, you can click on to see what exactly she got wrong. The idea is for them to drag these numbers down to the letter names on the keys to say whether or not the interval goes up or down and what number the interval. This one is a second. So it looks like she didn't answer where the first pitch was, and that's the only reason why she missed that one. And then what I've had her do this past week, because she just had her lesson on Monday, what I had her do was actually take her iPad, put it on the piano, and after she gets them on the card itself, to actually put her right hand in G position and play those pitches. So she sees them on the card, she can see them and feel them on the keys as well. So that's Twiggy. She did really, really well with that deck. The next one I'm going to do is I'm going to show you Lego Boy. Lego Boy played this one, you could see 5 hours ago this morning. By the way, it's 8 p.m. here in the UK, or 8:30 now. So here's what Lego Boy did. And you can see most of the decks that he's playing this week is Kelly's decks. And so he's doing, I'm going to show you intervals 2-5 on the piano, this one here. Okay. So let's take a look at this deck. You know, when the first time he did it was on the 17th of July. Now you have to understand, our kids here in the UK, they just got out for summer holidays last week. We're off the entire month of August. We don't come back until the second week of September. So they just got off. Some of them are on holiday right now. So I didn't get permission from a whole lot of parents because they're on holiday. Who wants to think about doing boom decks when they're on holiday? But he just came back from a holiday. You can see between the 23rd and the 2nd, he didn't get to do any decks. He just came back. So the very first time he was assigned this, watch those numbers on this one. This is really impressive. Okay. Look at the numbers on the side. The most it took was 44 seconds or so. Now there's even fewer seconds. The greatest one is like at 13, 14. And then this deck here, no more than 7 seconds. So over time, by playing the same deck, you can see that there are fewer mistakes and it takes less time to do each card. That's the data that I find extremely valuable because this way I know their reaction time when they get that music in front of them, in front of the piano, it's going to be so much easier for them because their recall, their recognition is going to happen so much faster. Let's show you another student. I'm going to show you Kitty Cat. Kitty Cat just recently had her lesson, I mean like 2 hours ago, and I begged her, I said, please play some boom decks for me between now and 8 o'clock. So she did. Bless her heart, she did. So Kitty Cat did a really good job. Again, she's just learning seconds, thirds, and fourths. She's just now getting into C position. She hasn't learned fifths yet. It's coming. So I'm going to show you what she did with, actually, with Kelly's deck, what she's done with seconds and thirds. So the first time she did it was on the 20th of July, 23rd, 31st, and then she played yesterday and twice today. So let's take a look at that. Couple of X's there. Watch the time here. As I click across to the most recent. Okay, so there's one rogue one, so it kind of throws off the numbers there. But look at that. And then the second time she played it today, that's amazing. This is the kind of data that teachers can take to their head teachers in school, and they can show over time that with repeated practice, this is the data that they need. It's the smart way, S-M-A-R-T, to prove data that practice makes better. I don't like the saying practice makes perfect. Practice makes better. It improves students in their knowledge. I'm going to show you one more. Keyboard Boy. He practiced yesterday. You're going to love this. He's really keen. Keyboard Boy loves his boom cards. I'm going to show you the one that's G position on the piano keys. He really likes this deck. He played it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times on the 30th of July. He just got on holiday and he was really bored. So he really wanted to play some boom decks. So then on the 31st, he played once and then yesterday again. So let's take a look at some of the more recent ones that he did. 100% accuracy, but it's not just the accuracy that I'm looking at. It's looking at the reaction time. Yeah, all of these in the last couple of times was 100%. So look at those numbers. Look at that, those gray dots. Watch how they change. Less and less time with each time he plays. And that is the beauty of being able to track this data. Now, you only get to do that when you have full membership of Boom. So this is a little bit more advanced, but it is so worth it to invest in that because then you have foolproof data, even if you're a private teacher, if you're an online teacher, an in-person teacher, classroom teacher, you have foolproof data to show parents, look, your child isn't doing their work, or yes, they are, and look at how they're improving. So I can't stress enough how incredible it's really opened up, my eyes as to what, and it doesn't matter what, I'm going to show you a few of my decks that I've published, not because I'm trying to promote, but what you've seen so far is for the elementary level. I'm going to show you some stuff that I do for example, grade 2 for ABRSM. So this one is, you got to see, same note, interledger lines is what this is. And that's one of the questions that's on ABRSM grade 2, music theory. So being able to click on which is the same pitch, and it tells you right away which one is the same pitch in the other clef. So this helps students to be able to see, well, these are what my choices are. And that's exactly how the online exam is now. It's multiple choice. It's not fill in the blank anymore. It's not handwritten stuff. Grades 1 through 5 is indeed an online exam. And they needed more material to practice doing these kinds of questions online. I'm slowly building up my resources. So if you do anything with ABRSM or even Trinity, if you do Trinity exams, I can create these decks that would allow for the students to practice doing these same kind of questions. So that's my presentation for today. I want to make myself available. I don't have any freebies or any handouts, but if anybody has any questions, you can find me on social media. You can find me on Facebook. If you want to private message me and you need a little bit of help in understanding how to build these classrooms and how to put students in, I've done it for other teachers. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to help with teachers that are trying to build their classrooms and put boom cards in. So that's my presentation for today.
Thank you so much, Joanna. And I think you really demystified reports for all of us. And I love the fact that, you've used that to show your parents that, your lessons are working. They are progressing. They are improving. The more they play boom cards, do you find that the better they do in their lesson?
Absolutely. I mean, whenever I have a student that learns a new hand position and they struggle with that, and then I say, well, you got it assigned last week. You know what'll help with that? Boom cards. So if they didn't practice their boom cards, then I prove it to them in their lesson. I'll bet you if you practice your boom card assignment this week a little bit more, I'll bet you'll do a lot better in your piano lesson next week. And sure enough, and one of the kids that did that exactly was Keyboard Boy. He was struggling with the new hand position terribly. And then when I kept telling him, because I make sure my primary students, they have a parent with them because of GDPR stuff. So a parent is always with my primary school students. And I told him in front of his mom, I said, you know what'll help with that? Boom cards. Poor kid got smacked in the back of the head. It
Well,
was just
I'm
like, I
actually,
told you to practice it.
I'm actually really
It was
impressed that you got
just,
your students to practice like right after their
yeah,
lesson.
because I
So
proved to
kudos to
mom. I
you.
said, she said to me, mom said to me, he said he was practicing. I said, well, let's see what I see here in the report. And I proved to her that it was 3 days in a row that he hadn't practiced his boom cards. And she's like, you lied to me. So, it's not trying to catch a child in a lie. It's about supporting them, giving them opportunities and giving them the material they need that's accessible, that's fun to play. I mean, what kid doesn't love playing video games? And that's what these are, the interactive video games. And yes, with it being self-correcting, immediate answer, it's not anybody staring over their shoulder telling them they got it right or they got it wrong. They love to see how quickly they can get through them. So, that little dopamine boost when they get the little ting is just the greatest. I love it. I think it's so much fun. I wish I had these when I was a kid. We didn't have this stuff.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Joanna, this is a question for you. I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Charla Lampia asked, when you were showing those reports, what are those other black dots in the time, the response time table?
Let's see. Let's go to Keyboard Boy and let's see what it is that you see black dots.
I think she's referring to
This is
this view.
Okay, this view is everything. So if I clicked on one of them, it would show you exactly which card that one is. So it's just trying to differentiate. You can see like they're different shades of gray. Different shades of gray. They're just trying to differentiate which deck is which. If I clicked on one of his plays, if I clicked on this one, you're only going to see the dots of the 20 cards that he did, or whatever, however many cards there are in that deck. Do you remember how many cards are in that deck, Kelly? 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15. There are more than 15 in the deck, but it's randomized, so he only sees 15. If I don't click on that, let me come out of that and show you again. So if I don't click on that, you don't see gray dots like this one. You could see that he's only seen that particular card twice. It's the same card, but he's only.
I wonder if I think the different gradations of gray that you see there is to try and represent each time the student played the boom deck. Say the light gray ones are associated with the oldest play. And as you get darker and darker and darker with
Yeah,
the
it's the
dots,
most
that's
recent.
the most recent. So we're trying
Yeah.
to create, you know, your students play their boom cards a ton of times. So I think, you know, it can get a little confusing, but kudos
It
to
is.
you to
That's
getting them to do that.
what, well, this particular shirt, like I said, is like overkeen, is like super hyper totally into these boom cards. That was the one thing that the very first thing that I showed him in his very first piano lesson, he was like, I'm in. I don't want to hear another piano teacher. I want to go to this lady because we get to play. So yeah, I mean it really does help to, you know, prove to the students that their reaction time to brand new music is so much quicker because they're used to seeing it in the boom cards. And that to me that it translates directly. So if I can get them to enjoy and, you know, feel that rush, then that dopamine is just going to carry on over into the piano keys, and that enthusiasm is going to be there. They know that it's not always going to be at the piano, it's not always going to be at the keyboard, it's not always going to be written music theory. They got all different kinds of ways of enjoying and coming at the same information. It's all reinforcing each other. So that's what I love about it. You know, it's every way, whether a student is strong in visual learning or auditory learning. And that's another thing. I know you said you wanted to hear a lot more on the decks. I'm working on recording, playing the piano key and recording it for a short time and making that for each key for some of my decks. That's in the future. It's in the works.
Fantastic. And you had also mentioned that, you know, it's one thing, there's student engagement. They love these boom decks, but also these reports that show progress, that actually show that playing boom cards has a direct effect on how well the student is progressing. You mentioned, Joanna, that's a great way for schools to be convinced to fund music departments and their music
That's it.
teachers.
That's exactly right too, because I know, because I used to be a classroom teacher too. I used to do middle school choir, high school choir, and I used to be a peripatetic piano teacher in a local high school. And trying to get funding for the materials and resources that we need. We know that schools like to have reports. They like to have facts. They like to have proof that it's worthy for them to invest in. This is your proof right here. So let's say, for instance, you have a student that's on the spectrum and they need a little bit of support, a little bit of assistance. You get them involved in doing these boom cards, and then you could take that data to see how to show your head teacher, to show the, you know, IT department, look, this is something that the student really responds to. Look, we can help improve their test scores and we can raise the stats of the school just by us investing in these boom cards. They're not that expensive. But any little bit of money, we know as teachers, we usually take about a tenth of our income and we pour back into our own classroom because we just don't have the money and the funding from our departments, from the head teacher, from wherever, to buy the extra things that we know we need. We know what our students need. It's tough trying to convince our higher ups, our managers, our whatever, our department heads, that this is something worth investing in. And so this is the proof. The proof is in the pudding. Watch how the students are grow. Watch their engagement. It just keeps on getting stronger and stronger, and they keep getting better and better. The stats
Well
prove it.
said. Well said. One more question, and then we are going to wrap up from Gail. And I think, Terry, this is a great question for you. Can boom cards be played on a Prometheus smartboard?
I believe they can, Gail. Boom cards are optimized for Chromebooks. There's an app for iPads. You can play them on your phone. They can be used on smartboards or other whiteboards. What, Gail, I assume as long as your computer that you have hooked to the board is working with boom cards, it should work. They work with Mac, they work with PCs.
Absolutely. I want to thank you all for joining us. In the chat below, you're going to see our links to the webinar feedback form, as well as the next sessions that are coming up. We've got one on AAC, augmentative and alternative communication and foreign languages. And we totally appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, give us a call or send us an email to help@boomlearning.com. You can also go to our website at www.boomlearning.com. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And I just want to sincerely thank Terry, Kelly, and Joanna for taking time out of their busy summer to be with us today and tell us how they use boom cards for music instruction. Thank you again, ladies, and we will hopefully see you all in the future.
Thank you.
Bye for
It's
now.
been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye.